Ladies and gentlemen, people of Russia, today we stand on the precipice of a monumental revelation, a moment that redefines not only our understanding of history, but also the path forward for our great nation. In an extraordinary discovery hidden beneath centuries of lore and legend, we have opened what can only be described as the oldest vault known to mankind. What we found within its ancient confines challenges the very fabric of our beliefs and heralds a new dawn for our country. These figures, preserved against the sands of time, reveal a truth that is as profound as it is transformative. As your president, I see this moment not as a challenge to our beliefs, but as an opportunity to embrace a wider, more inclusive understanding of our history and spirituality. From this day forward, let us proclaim our nation under the guidance of...
In an official speech to Russian officials and the country's religious leaders, Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed a shocking reality. That is the historical record proving Jesus and Israelites were black. In the centuries-old vaults, Russia found religious paintings that show Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and Jesus' followers as black, changing the entire belief system in the Christian world. However, instead of being hostile and rejecting the truth, Vladimir Putin said that it's an opportunity for not only Russia, but the entire Christian world to come back on track. He officially declared that from now on, Russia will pray and serve Black Jesus only. The truth that was earlier known by top leaders like the Pope is now available to Christians around the world. But what do these historical paintings reveal about Black Jesus and Christians' current beliefs? Welcome to a new episode of Black Afric Diary, a channel where we talk about Black African history, culture, arts, and civilization. It's a place where you will see the real picture of Black Africa, its stories, and the events defining it. In this episode, we will tell you about the centuries-old paintings found in Russia that have made the Russian president accept Black Jesus. Let's get started. Everywhere in the world, except for a selected few people, you will see paintings of white Jesus hanging in churches and homes. It had become a part of the belief and an established fact that Jesus was white. However, that's not true at all. This lie began with Warner E. Salmon's painting Head of Christ, which portrays Jesus with serene blue eyes and flowing dark blonde hair, gazing upward, a depiction that has become synonymous with Christianity's central figure worldwide. Originally conceived as a charcoal sketch for the Covenant Companion, a publication of what is now known as the Evangelical Covenant Church, Salmon aimed to create an image that resonated, especially with young adults. His approach proved remarkably successful, resonating deeply enough to prompt a commission from the 1940 graduating class of North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago to expand the sketch into a full painting, gifted to their institution. As a commercial artist in Chicago, Salmon achieved unprecedented success with his portrayal of Jesus, despite keeping a relatively low personal profile. His work not only garnered acclaim within American Christianity, but also became a pervasive representation, profoundly influencing religious iconography. The painting, titled Head of Christ, eventually made its way to the religious publisher Kriebel and Bates, laying the foundation for what would become a Protestant icon. Matthew Anderson, an affiliate professor of theological studies, points out that Salmon's portrayal emerged during a popular marketing strategies era. This approach ensured that Salmon's depiction of Jesus became widely disseminated through prayer cards, publications, and various religious materials across diverse denominations, appealing to people of varying racial backgrounds. During World War II, replicas of Salmon's painting accompanied soldiers into battle, distributed by organizations such as the Salvation Army and YMCA. The initiative, known as Christ in Every Purse, endorsed by prominent figures like President Dwight Eisenhower and Norman Vincent Peale, further propelled the image globally. It adorned everyday items such as pencils, bookmarks, lamps, and clocks, finding its place in public institutions like courtrooms, police stations, libraries, and schools. Despite its widespread adoption and cultural impact, Salman's depiction of Jesus has not been without controversy. It's because the painting portrayed white Jesus with blue eyes, similar to how Europeans look. Scholars and theologians have questioned whether such depictions authentically reflect the ethnographic reality of Jesus and his origins in the Middle East. You should know that Jesus and his 12 disciples were all Jewish. Peter, one of these disciples, is recognized by Catholics as the first pope. The Apostle Paul, who wrote much of the New Testament, was also Jewish. At its beginning, Christianity seemed just like another Jewish sect, similar to the Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Zealots. Judaism is ethnically diverse, including Sephardic, Ashkenazic, Mizrahi, and Ethiopian Jews. Yet when you search online for images of Jesus, most results show a white man. To find a depiction of Jesus that looks Jewish, Black, Asian, or Hispanic, you need to specify those terms in your search. Considering Christianity's Jewish origins, how did we end up with such a white, non-Jewish depiction of Jesus? In European museums, Jesus is always shown as bright white, not antique, ivory, eggshell, or off-white, but the color of white milk. This is baffling, given that Jesus could not have been that white. European artists, using their creative freedom, aim to convey Christ's purity by depicting him as bright white. They portrayed God and the angels as white, placing them at the top of the hierarchy of godliness. Unfortunately, this also sent a message about those who were not white. The less white someone was, the less pure they appeared. Color was used to symbolize good and evil, purity and sinfulness. The Bible provides details on Jesus' appearance, but scholars have a good sense of how people in the Middle East looked during the 1st century. They did not have light skin. However, even the iconic images on the walls of ancient churches in Israel show a Jesus who is brown or bronze, not black like an African or a tanned white person. It's because the modern-day Jews in Israel have lighter skin color, and it would be confusing for their belief to put paintings of black Jesus. However, it does reveal their choice of not choosing pure white color, showing that Jesus was never white. And as Europeans chose to depict Jesus as white, so did people in Israel by showing him as brown. But Jesus in reality was black, as described in the book of Revelation, where he is said to have feet like burnished bronze, refined as in a furnace. Richard Stockton notes that due to the lack of descriptions of Jesus' appearance, as Christianity spread to Europe, European artists began to paint Jesus with European features, using friends and family as models. Some of the most famous examples include Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper and Michelangelo's Last Judgment in the Sistine Chapel. In the creation of Adam, God is depicted as a white man with a beard. This image is so powerful that when we talk about God, we have to explicitly say, God is not a white man. The image of a light-skinned European Christ began to spread globally through European trade and colonization. There are 16th and 17th century pictures of Jesus with Ethiopian and Indian features, but these depictions didn't originate from colonizing nations. Experts believe that the depiction of Jesus as white also had profitability at its roots. Artists who painted Jesus as white could sell their art to many churches and Europeans for their homes, further popularizing the white Jesus. Experts also point to forged documents that describe Jesus' appearance as white, showing the lengths some went to in order to maintain a white image of Jesus. Additionally, European Christians depicted Jesus as white to distinguish him from Middle Eastern Muslims, who were their enemies. Richard Stockton writes in Why is the World Filled with Depictions of a White Jesus When the History Says Otherwise? That white Christians, as they colonized and converted, brought images of a white Jesus with them. For colonizers, the image of a white Jesus served a dual purpose. It represented Christianity, which they sought to spread, and it aligned the colonizers with God. His fair skin helped enforce caste systems in South America and the suppression of indigenous people in North America. By the time of the Reformation, Martin Luther's anti-Semitism was deeply embedded in European culture, including the arts. Jews were vilified as heathens and pagans. making it impossible to have a Jewish Jesus as Christianity's focal point. Artists thus distanced Jesus and his parents from their Jewish roots. Anna Swartwood House notes in The Long History of How Jesus Came to Resemble a White European that scholars Edward J. Blum and Paul Harvey argue that the image of a white Christ, after European colonization of the Americas, associated him with the logic of empire. This image justified the oppression of Native and African Americans. The artists weren't aiming to create an accurate portrait of Jesus. They intended to send a specific message. Some people believed that the mark of Cain made him black, or that Africans, as descendants of Ham, were cursed. White European Christians saw themselves as the ones bringing their faith to the world, Christianizing Latin Americans, Asians, Native Americans, and especially Africans, whom they viewed as heathens, savages, and primitives. Since Jesus was seen as the opposite of those they sought to convert, he had to be depicted as white. In colonial Latin America, images of a white Jesus reinforced a caste system. White Christian Europeans occupied the top tier, while those with darker skin, perceived as intermixed with native populations, ranked much lower. European Christians used the image of a white Jesus to their advantage. Their missions to spread the gospel aligned perfectly with the doctrine of discovery, manifest destiny, and more recently, American exceptionalism. The whiteness of Christ eventually took on a symbolic meaning beyond just good versus evil or purity. It came to symbolize that the white man was the savior of the world. White supremacy, bolstered by Western racism and anti-Semitism, found its way into Christian art, reinforcing the image of a white Jesus. And that's when Russia guides Christians and reveals Black Jesus. However, questions arise on how Russia preserved the religious paintings when the movement to whitewash Jesus spread in all of Europe. It turns out that Russia was disconnected from the European churches at precisely the time when the whitewashing movements began. It's because of the Mongol invasion of Russia. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Before the Mongol invasion, Russia was a collection of loosely connected principalities, each ruled by its own prince. This period was a fascinating blend of pagan beliefs and early Christian influences, with some regions adopting Christianity from the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Church, also known as the Eastern Orthodox Church, played a significant role in shaping religious and cultural practices in Russia during this time. The spread of Christianity in Russia is often traced back to Prince Vladimir I, who converted to Christianity in 988 AD. His decision was influenced by various factors, including political alliances and the desire to unify his people under one faith. By embracing Christianity from the Byzantine Empire, Vladimir forged strong religious and cultural ties with Constantinople. This conversion was a pivotal moment, marking the beginning of Orthodox Christianity's spread across the region. Byzantine missionaries were instrumental in spreading Orthodox Christianity in Russia. They introduced Orthodox Christian doctrines, rituals, and liturgical practices, forging connections between Russian rulers and the Byzantine emperor. This interaction led to the adoption of Byzantine religious practices, iconography, and architectural styles in Russia, fostering a rich cultural exchange. Byzantine iconography, known for its stylized representations of religious figures, significantly influenced Orthodox visual culture in Russia. Byzantine artists were often commissioned to create religious icons, frescoes, and mosaics for Russian churches and monasteries. These artworks depicted Black Jesus, Black Mary, and Black Israelites, which was the truth of that time. The 13th century Mongol invasion, known as the Mongol-Tatar yoke, brought significant upheaval to Russia, disrupting cultural and religious practices. This conquest subjected Russian principalities to Mongol rule, leading to economic and social turmoil. The Mongols imposed tribute payments on Russian princes and established governing structures, affecting various aspects of Russian society. Despite these challenges, the Orthodox Church continued to operate, though its autonomy diminished. Interestingly, during this period of Mongol rule, the Byzantine Empire was undergoing a whitewashing era, where religious leaders began promoting the idea of a white Jesus. However, this concept did not reach Russia, which was isolated from Byzantine influence due to the Mongol occupation. Without strict oversight from the Byzantine Church, Russian artists continued to depict Jesus as black. This preservation was not solely an artistic choice. It was partly due to the copying of earlier Byzantine artworks that had already spread throughout Russia. Due to the Mongol invasion, religious paintings in Russia were inadvertently preserved and protected from the general whitewashing that was taking place throughout Europe. This phenomenon ensured that the traditional depictions of Jesus, Mary, and other biblical figures with darker skin tones remained prevalent in Russian religious art. But the Russian president talked about some historical religious paintings. What do they reveal? Russian religious iconography from the 12th to the 14th centuries is a fascinating aspect of Orthodox Christianity's artistic heritage. Father Vladimir Ivanov's book, Russian Icons, serves as a thorough guide to understanding these artworks and exploring their history, symbolism, and spiritual significance. His book is a seminal work in the field, meticulously documenting various aspects of icon creation. Ivanov examines techniques such as egg tempera paint and the use of gold leaf, along with traditional methods of hieratic composition and stylization. He emphasizes that iconographers deliberately chose dark or black complexions for figures like Jesus, Mary, Israelites, and angels, rather than these tones being a result of aging or fading. A notable feature of these icons is their deliberate portrayal of religious figures with dark complexions, challenging more common European depictions and highlighting a distinct visual narrative within Russian Orthodoxy. Ivanov's analysis underscores the profound theological and cultural significance of these artistic choices. Several iconic examples illustrate this unique artistic tradition. Andrei Rublev's Trinity, depicting three angels visiting Abraham, portrays all figures with dark complexions, challenging traditional norms and deepening the icon's spiritual impact. Similarly, the Theotokos of Vladimir, depicting the Virgin Mary and infant Jesus with darker complexions, emphasizes Mary's role as the mother of Jesus, bridging human and divine realms with maternal love. Icons like Savior in a golden risa, showing Jesus adorned with a golden frame, further underscore the reverence attributed to Christ's image in Orthodox worship. The use of dark complexions in these icons, combined with designs and precious materials, highlights their spiritual significance and aesthetic value within the faith community. After centuries of being hidden, these religious paintings have now come before the world. These paintings were earlier hidden due to Mongols' threat, fearing that Mongols would destroy them. However, after centuries, Russian President Vladimir Putin decided to open the vaults and reveal the truth to the world. That's why he officially declared Jesus was black, and that Russia would pray and serve black Jesus from now on. But we see something more surprising in Russian religious iconography. The angels have also been portrayed as black. A notable instance is seen in the Ustyuga Annunciation, depicting the Archangel Gabriel announcing Mary's divine pregnancy. Both Gabriel and Mary are depicted with darker skin tones, departing from the traditional European depictions prevalent in Western Christian art. Another renowned icon, the Elusa, meaning tenderness or compassion in Greek, explores the intimate bond between Mary and Jesus. Here, Mary cradles Jesus close to her, their cheeks touching, to symbolize her role as a compassionate intercessor and protector of humanity. This depiction emphasizes Mary's maternal tenderness and the sacred connection between mother and child, transcending mere physical appearance. Both Jesus and Mary have been portrayed as black. Similarly, Our Lady of St. Theodore portrays Mary holding Jesus, her right hand raised in blessing. This icon challenges traditional Eurocentric depictions by presenting both Mary and Jesus with dark complexions. In the painting titled Jesus with John the Baptist and the Virgin, John the Baptist and Mary stand alongside Christ in positions of authority and judgment. Their raised hands symbolize prayer on behalf of humanity, depicted with darker skin tones that challenge conventional racial perceptions in religious iconography. Another significant icon, Christ Pantocrator, portrays Jesus as the Almighty and all-powerful, with a dark complexion that contrasts with traditional Western depictions. These icons provoke important reflections on Jesus' heritage and appearance, challenging the traditional Western portrayals that often depict him with fair skin and European features. This invites deeper exploration into the historical and cultural contexts that shaped early Christian iconography and its diverse representations of biblical figures. You should know that biblical accounts provide minimal physical descriptions of Jesus, leaving interpretation and artistic representation open. Scholars suggest historical evidence indicating Jesus likely had darker features, rooted in his Jewish heritage and the geographical context of first-century Judea. This perspective challenges long-standing Eurocentric interpretations and encourages a more inclusive understanding of Jesus' cultural and historical identity. Religious scholars have been very careful in not revealing too much. Therefore, they are often heard saying that Jesus was certainly darker than how Europeans depicted in paintings. They don't explicitly say that Jesus was black. The depiction of Jesus in Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15, presents a vivid portrayal that sharply contrasts with traditional Western images. Described with hair resembling white wool, fiery eyes, feet glowing like bronze, and a voice like rushing waters, this description suggests features more in line with a black representation. This interpretation challenges long-standing Western depictions of Jesus as fair-skinned with European features, prompting a re-evaluation of how we understand his appearance within the context of history and biblical texts. In Russia, there's a noticeable shift in how Jesus' ethnic identity is perceived, moving away from the conventional portrayal of him as white. Historically, Russian depictions of Jesus mirrored those found in Western European art, portraying him with fair skin and European characteristics. However, recent discoveries of ancient paintings throughout Russia depict Jesus with darker skin tones, leading to a reassessment of his racial identity and sparking profound cultural and theological discussions. President Vladimir Putin has taken a notable stance on this issue, urging religious leaders and priests to embrace the representation of a black Jesus. Instead of resisting the truth, Putin encouraged everyone to be open to the truth and ask for forgiveness for depicting Jesus as white, when, in reality, he was black and has been black. The movement calling for the repainting of religious paintings to accurately depict Jesus and his people as black represents a significant response to centuries of historical inaccuracy and cultural insensitivity. This initiative aims to address a long-standing practice deeply ingrained in colonialism, racism, and Eurocentric perspectives, where religious art has predominantly portrayed Jesus and other biblical figures with fair skin and European features. People now advocate for repainting these artworks to authentically represent the ethnicity of Jesus and the Israelites, striving to achieve a more inclusive and diverse portrayal of religious figures. Historically, the whitewashing of Jesus and the Israelites in religious art has deep roots. This practice emerged during periods of European colonial expansion and cultural dominance, where portraying Jesus as white not only normalized but also perpetuated colonial narratives and reinforced racial hierarchies. Such depictions not only distorted historical truths, but also marginalized and erased the rich ethnic and cultural identities of the Middle East and North Africa, the regions where Jesus and his contemporaries lived. The movement to reverse this whitewashing directly challenges these harmful narratives. By advocating for the accurate depiction of Jesus and his followers as black in religious artwork, proponents argue for correcting historical inaccuracies and presenting a more respectful portrayal that acknowledges the diversity of humanity. Under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, Russia has emerged as a significant advocate for this cultural shift. Putin's administration has demonstrated a willingness to embrace diversity and confront historical inaccuracies in artistic representations. This positions Russia to potentially lead efforts in repainting religious artwork to portray Jesus and the Israelites as black within its churches. Such initiatives not only aim to improve historical accuracy and cultural sensitivity, but also set a compelling example for churches globally. In one meeting with officials and religious leaders, the Russian president revealed that Jesus Russia would be praying. He opened a golden frame, and in it was Jesus' painting, depicting him as black. This officially declared that Russia now only believes in Black Jesus and will start to bring all the historic religious paintings to their true color. What do you think? Should the Christian world accept Black Jesus as Russia did and start putting the original paintings in churches and homes? Isn't it true that the Western world whitewashed Jesus to make him the God of white people only, even though Jesus himself was Black? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on which Jesus you will pray from now on, Black or white. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.